Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, where we have an opportunity to associate together with His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada in the center, along with Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all of His eternal associates and incarnations, and through the Srimad-Bhagavatam. It's the greatest opportunity that anyone can have. So we apologize because we've been having technical difficulties, and the devotees who have been watching live have been telling us, and also we're experiencing ourselves when we listen back to the recordings, that they're a little choppy, and we're feeling very bad about that. And we tried yesterday to record through the phone and then to upload it onto the Facebook. But we so far, in a whole day of trying, we couldn't upload it to the Facebook. So it dawned on us, and it's pretty obvious actually, that if you're in a connection that's bad enough that it can't record live, then if you try to upload, it's even harder, because the upload speeds are always slower than the download speeds. So we've decided to take the risk and to go ahead and do the live stream readings, which are obviously more pleasing, and there's more lively discussions afterwards and so on. And then what we'll do is, when we finally have the complete product, the whole Bhagavatam, recorded in this way, in this format of reading Srila Prabhupada for an hour and 15 minutes, and then having reflections and discussions and questions and answers afterwards. This is a unique product. I don't think there's anywhere else in the world that this has been done. And we're about maybe 20 chapters away from having completed the Bhagavatam in this format. So we're taking that risk, and then what we will do, I've already talked to Radharaman about this, and we'll go through and we'll spot check, and see those recordings that are not actually easy to listen to, and we'll go and re-record them so that we'll have a complete set of readings of Srimad-Bhagavatam that will be easy to listen to. Okay, so that's our public announcement for everyone. We're going to go ahead and do live readings for the rest of the time we're in India, which is only 9 days. We'll be here in Govardhan till the 22nd, and then that means we'll be recording up until the 21st, and then on the 22nd we'll go up to Delhi, and we'll record at Anantarupa's place, for three nights, and then we'll be on a plane to the UK, and we'll be back in Wisteria Cottage in Folkestone again, in one of our favorite live studios, where we started 2 years ago. Okay, so let's get back to the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Before we start, we will recite again the Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram, the beautiful prayer by Srila Sanatana Goswami glorifying the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is the source of Krishna's pastimes, or our access to Krishna's pastimes in history. And also they're very deep, meaningful. They explain to us what these pastimes are, and what the Srimad-Bhagavatam is, and how we can go deeper and better appreciate. Okay? Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram, and it goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya, Sarva Lokaika Drik Prada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths. You are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad-Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidwandoditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad-Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvadehaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madhika Bandhu Matsangin Madguru Man Mahadana Man Nistadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhu tadayin adini chochatakada hanamun chagadachin mam premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. We reached the 41st chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled Krishna and Balarama Enter Mathura. So now they've left Vrindavan and they've been brought by Akrura to Mathura. And Akrura made his prayers and saw the vision of Vishnu and Sheshanaga in the Yamuna where he took the bath. And that's the point at which Krishna, in his uppercut, or Prabhupada called it Bhav feature, stayed in Vrindavan, and Vasudeva Krishna returns to Mathura. He was born in Mathura, and then he came into Vrindavan and was merged into the body of Krishna. Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the full feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who contains all of the expansions, including Vasudeva Krishna. So now Vasudeva Krishna is going back to Mathura with Balaram. This chapter describes how Lord Krishna entered the city of Mathura, killed a washerman, and bestowed benedictions upon a weaver and a garland maker named Sudama. After showing his Vishnu form to Akrura in the waters of the Yamuna and receiving Akrura's prayers, Lord Krishna withdrew that vision just as an actor winds up his performance. Akrura emerged from the water, then in great amazement approached the Lord, who asked him whether he had seen something wonderful while bathing. Akrura replied, "Whatever wonderful things there are in the realms of water, earth, or sky, all have their existence within you. Thus, when one has seen you, nothing remains unseen." Akrura then began driving the chariot again. Krishna, Balarama, and Akrura reached Mathura late in the afternoon. After meeting up with Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherds who had gone on ahead, Krishna asked Akrura to return home, promising to visit him there after he had killed Kamsa. Akrura unhappily bade the Lord goodbye, went to King Kamsa to inform him that Krishna and Balarama had come, and went home. Krishna and Balaram took the cowherd boys with them to see the splendorous city. As they all entered Mathura, the women of the city eagerly came out of their houses to see Krishna. They had often heard about him and had long since developed a deep attraction for him, but now that they were actually seeing him, they were overwhelmed with happiness, and all their distress due to his absence was eradicated. Krishna and Balaram then came upon Kamsa's wicked washerman. Krishna asked him for some of the first-class garments he was carrying, but he refused and even chastised the two lords. At this, Krishna became very angry and beheaded the man with his fingertips. The washerman's assistants, seeing his untimely end, dropped their bundles of clothes on the spot and ran off in all directions. Krishna and Balarama then took some of the garments they especially fancied. Next, a weaver approached the two lords and arrayed them suitably, for which service he received from Krishna opulence in this life and liberation in the next. Krishna and Balaram then went to the house of the garland maker, Sudama. Sudama offered them his obeisances, worshipped them by bathing their feet and offering them such items as arghya and sandalwood paste, and chanted prayers in their honor. Then he adorned them with garlands of fragrant flowers. Pleased, the lords offered him whatever benediction he wished, and then they moved on. Text 1. Shukadeva Goswami said, while Akrura was still offering prayers, the Supreme Lord Krishna withdrew his form that he had revealed in the water, just as an actor winds up his performance. Purport. Lord Krishna withdrew from Akrura's sight the Vishnu form along with the vision of the spiritual sky and its eternal inhabitants. 2. When Akrura saw the vision disappear, he came out of the water and quickly finished his various ritual duties. He then returned to the chariot, astonished. 3. Lord Krishna asked Akrura, have you seen something wonderful on the earth, in the sky, or in the water? From your appearance, we think you have. 4. Sri Akrura said, whatever wonderful things the earth, sky, or water contain, all exist in you, since you encompass everything. When I am seeing you, what have I not seen? Text 5. And now that I am seeing you, O Supreme Absolute Truth, in whom reside all amazing things on the earth, in the sky, and in the water, what amazing things could I see in this world? Purport. Akrura has now realized that Lord Krishna is not merely his nephew. 6. With these words, Akrura, the son of Gandhini, began driving the chariot onward. At the end of the day, he arrived in Mathura with Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna. Text 7. Wherever they passed along the road, O king, the village people came forward and looked upon the two sons of Vasudeva with great pleasure. In fact, the villagers could not withdraw their eyes from them. Text 8. Nanda Maharaj and the other residents of Vrindavan, having reached Mathura ahead of the chariot, had stopped at a garden on the outskirts of the city to wait for Krishna and Balarama. Purport. Nanda and the others reached Mathura first because the chariot carrying Krishna and Balarama was delayed by Akrura's bathing. Text 9. After joining Nanda and the others, the Supreme Lord Krishna, the controller of the universe, took humble Akrura's hand in his own and, smiling, spoke as follows. Text 10. Lord Krishna said, "Take the chariot and enter the city ahead of us. Then go home. After resting here a while, we will go to see the city." Text 11. Sri Akrura said, "O Master, without the two of you I shall not enter Mathura. I am your devotee, O Lord, so it is not fair for you to abandon me, since you are always affectionate to your devotees." 12. Come, let us go to my house with your elder brother, the cowherd men and your companions. O best of friends, O transcendental Lord, in this way, please grace my house with its master. 13. I am simply an ordinary householder attached to ritual sacrifices. So please purify my home with the dust of your lotus feet. By that act of purification, my forefathers, the sacrificial fires, and the demigods will all become satisfied. Text 14. By bathing your feet, the exalted Bali Maharaj attained not only glorious fame and unequaled power, but also the final destination of pure devotees. 15. The water of the river Ganges has purified the three worlds, having become transcendental by bathing your feet. Lord Shiva accepted that water on his head, and by that water's grace the sons of King Sagara attained to heaven. Text 16. O Lord of Lords, Master of the universe, O you whose glories it is most pious to hear and chant, O best of the Yadus, O you whose fame is recounted in excellent poetry, O Supreme Lord Narayana, I offer you my obeisances. 17. The Supreme Lord said, I will come to your house with my elder brother, but first I must satisfy my friends and well-wishers by killing the enemy of the Yadu clan. Purport. Akrura glorified Krishna in text 16 as Yadutama, the best of the Yadus. Sri Krishna here confirms this by saying, in effect, since I am the best of the Yadus, I must kill the enemy of the Yadus, Kamsa, and then I will come to your house. Text 18. Shukadeva Goswami said, thus addressed by the Lord, Akrura entered the city with a heavy heart. He informed King Kamsa of the success of his mission and then went home. Text 19. Lord Krishna desired to see Mathura. So toward evening, he took Lord Balarama and the cowherd boys with him and entered the city. 20 to 23. The Lord saw Mathura with its tall gates and household entrances made of crystal, its immense archways and main doors of gold, its granaries and other storehouses of copper and brass, and its impregnable moats. Beautifying the city were pleasant gardens and parks. The main intersections were fashioned of gold, and there were mansions with private pleasure gardens, along with guild halls and many other buildings. Mathura resounded with the calls of peacocks and pet turtle doves. who sat in the small openings of the lattice windows and on the gem-studded floors, and also on the columned balconies and on the ornate rafters in front of the houses. These balconies and rafters were adorned with Vaidurya stones, diamonds, crystal quartz, sapphires, coral, pearls, and emeralds. All the royal avenues and commercial streets were sprinkled with water, as were the side roads and courtyards. And flower garlands, newly grown sprouts, parched grains and rice had been scattered about everywhere. Gracing the houses' doorways were elaborately decorated pots filled with water, which were bedecked with mango leaves, smeared with yogurt and sandalwood paste, and encircled by flower petals and ribbons. Near the pots were flags, rows of lamps, bunches of flowers, and the trunks of banana and betel nut trees. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur gives this description of the elaborately decorated pots. On either side of each doorway, above the sacred rice, is a pot. Encircling each pot are flower petals. On its neck are ribbons, and in its mouth are leaves of mango and other trees. Above each pot on a gold plate are rows of lamps. A trunk of banana tree stands on either side of each pot, and a betel nut tree trunk stands in front and also behind. Flags lean against the pots. Text 24. The women of Mathura hurriedly assembled and went forth to see the two sons of Vasudeva as they entered the city on the king's road, surrounded by their cowherd boyfriends. Some of the women, my dear king, eagerly climbed to the roofs of their houses to see them. 25. Some of the ladies put their clothes and ornaments on backwards. Others forgot one of their earrings or ankle bells, and others applied makeup to one eye, but not the other. Purport. The ladies were very eager to see Krishna, and in their haste and excitement, they forgot themselves. 26. Those who were taking their meals abandoned them. Others went out without finishing their baths or massages. Women who were sleeping at once rose when they heard the commotion, and mothers breastfeeding their infants simply put them aside. 27. The lotus-eyed Lord, smiling as he recalled his bold pastimes, captivated those ladies' minds with his glances. He walked with the gait of a lordly elephant in rut, creating a festival for their eyes with his transcendental body, which is the source of pleasure for the divine goddess of fortune. 28. The ladies of Mathura had repeatedly heard about Krishna, and thus as soon as they saw him, their hearts melted. They felt honored that he was sprinkling upon them the nectar of his glances and broad smiles. Taking him into their hearts through their eyes, they embraced him, the embodiment of all ecstasy. And as their bodily hairs stood on end, O subduer of enemies, they forgot the unlimited distress caused by his absence. 29. Their lotus faces blooming with affection, the ladies who had climbed to the roofs of the mansions rained down showers of flowers upon Lord Balarama and Lord Krishna. Text 30. Brahmanas, standing along the way, honored the two lords with presentations of yogurt, unbroken barley corns, pots full of water, garlands, fragrant substances such as sandalwood paste, and other items of worship. 31. The women of Mathura exclaimed, "Oh, What severe austerities the gopis must have performed to be able to regularly see Krishna and Balarama, who are the greatest source of pleasure for all mankind. 32. Seeing a washerman approaching who had been dyeing some clothes, Krishna asked him for the finest laundered garments he had. Text 33. Lord Krishna said, "Please give me suitable garments to the two. Please give suitable garments to the two of us, who certainly deserve them. If you grant this charity, you will undoubtedly receive the greatest benefit." Thus requested by the Supreme Lord, who is perfectly complete in all respects, that arrogant servant of Kamsa became angry and replied insultingly. 35. The washerman said, "You impudent boys, you're accustomed to roaming the mountains and forests, and yet you would dare put on such clothes as these? These are the king's possessions you're asking for." 36. Fools, get out of here quickly. Don't beg like this if you want to stay alive. When someone is too bold, the king's men arrest him and kill him and take all his property. 37. As the washerman thus spoke brazenly, the son of Devaki became angry, and then, merely with his fingertips, he separated the man's head from his body. Text 38. The washerman's assistants all dropped their bundles of clothes and fled down the road, scattering in all directions. Lord Krishna then took the clothes. 39. Krishna and Balarama put on pairs of garments that especially pleased them, and then Krishna distributed the remaining clothes among the cowherd boys, leaving some scattered on the ground. Now, that's how much he cares about the king's rules and laws. Text 40. Thereupon, a weaver came forward, and feeling affection for the lords, nicely adorned their attire with cloth ornaments of various colors. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that the weaver adorned the lords with cloth armlets and earrings that looked just like jewels. The word anurupata indicates that the colors matched nicely. 41. Krishna and Balarama looked resplendent, each in his own unique, wonderfully ornamented outfit. They resembled a pair of young elephants, one white and the other black, decorated for a festive occasion. 42. Pleased with the weaver, the Supreme Lord Krishna blessed him that after death he would achieve the liberation of attaining a form like the Lord's, and that while in this world he would enjoy supreme opulence, physical strength, influence, memory, and sensory vigor. Text 43. The two lords then went to the house of the garland maker, Sudama. When Sudama saw them, he at once stood up and then bowed down, placing his head on the ground. Text 44. After offering them seats and bathing their feet, Sudama worshipped them and their companions with argya, garlands, pan, sandalwood paste, and other presentations. 45. Sudama said, "O Lord, my birth is now sanctified and my family free of contamination. Now that you have both come here, my forefathers, the demigods, and the great sages are certainly all satisfied with me." Text 46. You two lords are the ultimate cause of this entire universe. To bestow sustenance and prosperity upon this realm, you have descended with your plenary expansions. 47. Because you are the well-wishing friends and Supreme Soul of the whole universe, you regard all with unbiased vision. Therefore, although you reciprocate your devotees' loving worship, you always remain equally disposed toward all living beings. 48. Please order me, your servant, to do whatever you wish. To be engaged by you in some service is certainly a great blessing for anyone. 49. Shukadeva Goswami continued, O best of kings, having spoken these words, Sudama could understand what Krishna and Balaram wanted. Thus, with great pleasure, he presented them with garlands of fresh, fragrant flowers. Text 50. Beautifully adorned with these garlands, Krishna and Balarama were delighted, and so were their companions. The two lords then offered the surrendered Sudama, who was bowing down before them, whatever benedictions he desired. We have a comment from our acharyas that Sudama's special devotion was because when he used to go into the forest to collect flowers and find the nicest flowers, he would see sometimes Krishna and Balaram with the cowherd boys herding the cows. And he would see the other devotees, the other Vrajbasis, and he would get their association. That's why he was so attached, more than the others. Text 51. Sudama chose unshakable devotion for Krishna, the Supreme Soul of all existence, friendship with his devotees, and transcendental compassion for all living beings. We've got to repeat this one. This is too good. So when asked by Krishna to take a benediction, this is what Sudama chose. Sudama chose unshakable devotion for Krishna, the Supreme Soul of all existence, friendship with his devotees, and transcendental compassion for all living beings. Text 52. Not only did Krishna grant Sudama these benedictions, but he also awarded him strength, long life, fame, beauty, and ever-increasing prosperity for his family. Then Krishna and his elder brother took their leave. Purport. We can see a clear difference between Lord Krishna's dealings with the nasty washerman and his dealings with the devoted florist, Sudama. The Lord is as hard as a thunderbolt for those who defy him, and as soft as a rose for those who surrender to him. Therefore, we should all sincerely surrender to Lord Krishna, since that is clearly in our own self-interest. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 41st chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled Krishna and Balarama Enter Mathura. Jai Shri Krishna Balaram! Jai Krishna Balaram! Jai Shri Sudama! Well done! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay, another act in the grand drama of the universe, Krishna's pastimes. Okay, chapter 42, the breaking of the sacrificial bow. How are we doing connection-wise?
Really good.
Pretty good.
Really well.
Really well. We made the right decision. Chapter 42, the breaking of the sacrificial bow. This chapter describes the benediction Trivakra received. I gotta say that again. This chapter describes the benediction Trivakra received, the breaking of the sacrificial bow, the destruction of Kamsa's soldiers, the inauspicious omens Kamsa saw, and the festivities at the wrestling arena. After leaving Sudama's house, Lord Krishna came upon Trivakra, a young hunchback maidservant of Kamsa's, who was carrying a tray of fine ointments. The Lord asked her who she was and requested some ointment from her. Entranced by his beauty and joking words, Trivakra gave both Krishna and Balaram a good deal of ointment. In return, Krishna stepped on her toes with his lotus feet, took hold of her chin and lifted, thus straightening her spine. The now beautiful and charming Trivakra then grabbed the edge of Krishna's upper cloth and asked him to come to her house. Krishna replied that after he had taken care of some business, he would certainly come and relieve her mental torment. Then the two lords continued their sightseeing tour of Mathura. As Krishna and Balaram walked along the king's road, the merchants worshipped them with various offerings. Krishna asked where the bow sacrifice was to take place. And when he arrived at the arena, he saw the wonderful bow, which resembled Lord Indra's. Despite the guards' protests, Krishna forcibly picked up the bow, easily strung it, and in an instant broke it in half, producing an ear-splitting sound that filled the heavens and struck terror in the heart of Kamsa. The many guards attacked Krishna, crying out, "Seize him! Kill him!" But Krishna and Balarama simply picked up the two halves of the bow and beat the guards to death. Next, the lords annihilated a company of soldiers sent by Kamsa, and then they left the arena and continued their tour. When the people of the city saw the amazing prowess and beauty of Krishna and Balarama, they thought they must be two chief demigods. Indeed, as the residents of Mathura gazed upon the lords, they enjoyed all the blessings the gopis had predicted. At sunset, Krishna and Balaram returned to the cowherds' camp for their evening meal. They then passed the night resting comfortably. But King Kamsa was not so fortunate. When he heard how Krishna and Balaram had easily broken the mighty bow and destroyed his soldiers, he spent the night in great anxiety. Both while awake and while dreaming, he saw many ill omens portending his imminent death, and his fear ruined any chance for rest. At dawn, the wrestling festival began. Crowds of people from the city and outlying districts entered the arena and took their seats in the lavishly decorated galleries. Kamsa, his heart trembling, sat down on the royal dais and invited Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men to come sit in their places. And they did so after offering him their gifts. The musical overture then began as sounds of the wrestlers slapping their arms resounded. That's the summary of the chapter. Text 1. Shukadev Goswami said, as he walked down the king's road, Lord Madhava then saw a young hunchback woman with an attractive face, who carried a tray of fragrant ointments as she walked along. The bestower of the ecstasy of love smiled and inquired from her as follows. Purport. According to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the young hunchbacked girl was actually a partial expansion of the Lord's wife Satyabhama. Satyabhama is the Lord's internal energy, known as Bhu Shakti. And this expansion of hers, known as Prithvi, Prithivi represents the earth, which was bent down by the great burden of countless wicked rulers. Lord Krishna descended to remove these wicked rulers, and thus his pastime of straightening out the hunchback Trivakra, as explained in these verses, represents his rectifying the burdened condition of the earth. At the same time, the Lord awarded Trivakra a conjugal relationship with himself. In addition to the given meaning, the word Rasaprada indicates that the Lord amused his cowherd boyfriends by his dealings with the young hunchback. Text 32. Lord Krishna said, "Who are you, O beautiful thighed one?" "Ah, ointment. Who is it for, my dear lady? Please tell us truthfully. Give us both some of your finest ointment, and you will soon gain a great boon." Purport. The Lord jokingly addressed the lady as Varohu, "O beautiful thighed one." His joke was not malicious, since he was actually about to make her beautiful. Text 3. The maidservant replied, "O handsome one, I am a servant of King Kamsa, who highly regards me for the ointments I make. My name is Trivakra. Who else but you too deserve my ointments, which the Lord of the Bhojas likes so much?" Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that Trivakra, who is also known as Kubja, used the singular address Sundara, "O handsome one," to hint that she felt conjugal desire for Krishna alone, and she used the dual form Yuvam for both of you to try to hide her conjugal sentiment. The hunchback's name, Trivakra, indicates that her body was bent at the neck, chest, and waist. Text 4. Her mind overwhelmed by Krishna's beauty, charm, sweetness, smiles, words, and glances, Trivakra gave both Krishna and Balarama generous amounts of ointment. Purport. This incident is also described in the Vishnu Purana. Griyatam iti sadaram anulepanam pradadao gatra yogyam atobayo. Hearing this, she respectfully replied to Lord Krishna, "Please take it," and gave both of them ointment suitable for applying to their bodies. Text 5. Anointed with these most excellent cosmetics, which adorned them with hues that contrasted with their complexions, the two lords appeared extremely beautiful. Purport. The Acharyas suggest that Krishna spread yellow ointment upon his body and Balaram blue ointment upon his. Text 6. Lord Krishna was pleased with Trivakra, so he decided to straighten that hunchback girl with the lovely face, just to demonstrate the result of seeing him. Text 7. Pressing down on her toes with both his feet, Lord Achyuta placed one upward pointing finger of each hand under her chin and straightened up her body. Text 8. Simply by Lord Mukunda's touch, Trivakra was suddenly transformed into an exquisitely beautiful woman with straight, evenly proportioned limbs and large hips and breasts. Text 9. Now endowed with beauty, character, and generosity, Trivakra began to feel lusty desires for Lord Keshava. Taking hold of the end of his upper cloth, she smiled and addressed him as follows. 10. Trivakra said, "Come, O hero, let us go to my house. I cannot bear to leave you here. O best of males, please take pity on me, since you have agitated my mind. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti supplies the following conversation. Krishna, is it for the purpose of dining that you're inviting me to your house? Trivikra, I simply can't leave you here. Krishna, but people here on the King's Road will misconstrue what you're saying and laugh. Therefore, please don't speak like this. Trivikra, I can't help being agitated. You made the mistake of touching me. It's not my fault. Text 11. Thus entreated by the woman, Lord Krishna first glanced at the face of Balarama, who was watching the incident, and then at the faces of the cowherd boys. Then with a laugh, Krishna replied to her as follows. Text 12. Lord Krishna said, O lady with beautiful eyebrows, as soon as I fulfill my purpose, I will certainly visit your house, where men can relieve their anxiety. Indeed, you are the best refuge for us homeless travelers. Purport. By the word agrihanam, Lord Sri Krishna indicated that not only that he had no fixed residence, but also that he was not yet married. Text 13. Leaving her with these sweet words, Lord Krishna walked further down the road. The merchants along the way worshipped him and his elder brother by presenting them with various respectful offerings, including pan, garlands, and fragrant substances. Text 14. The sight of Krishna aroused Cupid in the hearts of the city women. Thus agitated, they forgot themselves. Their clothes, braids, and bangles became disheveled, and they stood as still as figures in a painting. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti states that since the women of Mathura immediately experienced symptoms of conjugal attraction when they saw Krishna, they were the most advanced devotees in the city. The 10 effects of Cupid are described as follows. Chakshu raga pratamam chittasangash chatota sankalpa nidra chechadas tanuta vishaya nivritis nasha unmado morcha mortir itjita smaradasha dashaivasyu. First comes attraction, expressed through the eyes, then intense attachment in the mind, then determination, loss of sleep, becoming emaciated, disinterest in external things, shamelessness, madness, becoming stunned, and death. These are the 10 stages of Cupid's effects. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also points out that devotees who possess pure love of Godhead generally do not exhibit the symptom of death, since this is inauspicious in relation to Krishna. They do, however, manifest the 9 other symptoms, culminating in becoming stunned in ecstasy. Text 15. Lord Krishna then asked the local people where the arena was in which the bow sacrifice would take place. When they went there, he saw the amazing bow, which resembled Lord Indra's. 16. That most opulent bow was guarded by a large company of men who were respectfully worshipping it. Krishna pushed his way forward, and despite the guard's attempts to stop him, picked it up. 17. Easily lifting the bow with his left hand, Lord Urukrama strung it in a fraction of a second as the king's guards looked on. He then powerfully pulled the string and snapped the bow in half, just as an excited elephant might break a stalk of sugar cane. Wow. Text 18. Another example of how Krishna came to display the power of the Absolute Truth. He was always doing something no one else could do. The sound of the bows breaking filled the earth and sky in all directions. Upon hearing it, Kamsa was struck with terror. He was a terrorist, Krishna. The supreme terrorist. He could strike terror even in the heart of Kamsa, who was a pretty big terrorist himself. Text 19. The enraged guards then took up their weapons and, wanting to seize Krishna and his companions, surrounded them and shouted, "Grab him! Kill him!" Text 20. Seeing the guards coming upon them with evil intent, Balarama and Krishna took up the two halves of the bow and began striking them down. 21. After also killing a contingent of soldiers sent by Kamsa, Krishna and Balaram left the sacrificial arena by its main gate and continued their walk about the city, happily looking at the opulent sights. 22. Having witnessed the amazing deed Krishna and Balaram had performed, and seeing their strength, boldness, and beauty, the people of the city thought they must be two prominent demigods. 23. As they strolled about at will, the sun began to set. So they left the city with the cowherd boys and returned to the cowherd's wagon encampment. 24. At the time of Mukunda's, Krishna's departure from Vrindavan, the gopis had foretold that the residents of Mathura would enjoy many benedictions. And now the gopis' predictions were coming true, for those residents were gazing upon the beauty of Krishna, the jewel among men. Indeed, the goddess of fortune desired the shelter of that beauty so much that she abandoned many other men, although they worshipped her. 25. After Krishna's and Balaram's feet were bathed, the two lords ate rice with milk. Then, although knowing what Kamsa intended to do, they spent the night there comfortably. 26 and 27. Wicked King Kamsa, on the other hand, was terrified, having heard how Krishna and Balaram had broken the bow and killed his guards and soldiers, all simply as a game. He remained awake for a long time, and both while awake and while dreaming, he saw many bad omens, messengers of death. 28 to 31. When he looked at his reflection, he could not see his head. For no reason the moon and stars appeared double. He saw a hole in his shadow. He could not hear the sound of his life air. Trees seemed covered with a golden hue, and he could not see his footprints. He dreamt that he was being embraced by ghosts, riding a donkey and drinking poison, and also that a naked man smeared with oil was passing by wearing a garland of nullida flowers. Seeing these and other such omens, both while dreaming and while awake, Kamsa was terrified by the prospect of death, and out of anxiety he could not sleep. 32. When the night had finally passed and the sun rose up again from the water, Kamsa set about arranging for the grand wrestling festival. 33. The king's men performed the ritual worship of the wrestling arena, sounded their drums and other instruments, and decorated the viewing galleries with garlands, flags, ribbons, and arches. 34. The city dwellers and residents of the outlying districts, led by Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, came and sat down comfortably in the galleries. The royal guests received special seats. 35. Surrounded by his ministers, Kamsa took his seat on the imperial dais. But even as he sat amidst his various provincial rulers, his heart trembled. 36. While the musical instruments loudly played and the rhythmic meters appropriate for wrestling matches, the lavishly ornamented wrestlers proudly entered the arena with their coaches and sat down. 37. Enthused by the pleasing music, Chanura, Mushtika, Kutta, Shala, and Toshala sat down on the wrestling mat. 38. Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherds, summoned by the king of the Bhojas, presented him with their offerings and then took their seats in one of the galleries. Purport. According to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the word Samahuta indicates that King Kamsa respectfully called the leaders of Braja forward so that they could make their offerings to the central government. According to the Acharya, Kamsa assured Nanda as follows: "My dear king of Braja, you are the most important of my village rulers. Yet even though you have come to Mathura from your cowherd village, you have not come to visit me. Is that because you are frightened? Don't think that your two sons are bad because they broke the bow. I invited them here because I heard that they were extremely powerful, and I've arranged this wrestling match as a test of their strength. So please come forward without hesitation. Don't be afraid." What a rascal. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti further states that Nanda Maharaj noticed his two sons were not present. Apparently, out of disrespect for King Kamsa's order, they had taken the morning off and gone elsewhere. Krishna. Thus Kamsa delegated some cowherd men to go look for them and advised them to behave properly and come back to the wrestling arena. The Acharya also states that the reason Nanda and the other cowherd men sat in the galleries was that they could not find any sitting places on the royal dais. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 42nd chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Breaking of the Sacrificial Bow. Jai Shri Krishna Balarama, Kamsa Boo. Shri Krishna Balarama, the cowherd boys, Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men and women, Jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, the Mathura Vasis, Ki Jai. So, I want to say one thing before we, have our open mic discussions. I just wanted to, and I'm going to say this a lot, the translations of these verses and the purports are stunningly wonderful. They're so well done, and therefore I keep thinking, what's the word? Actually worshipful thoughts or respectful thoughts to Vrindavan Maharaj and Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu and Dravida, who did this work. And how glorious their service is, because there's a saying that the quality of the spiritual master is determined by the quality of his disciples. So the service of the disciples is the method for measuring the spiritual master's accomplishments or his potency or his empowerment. So I'd like to encourage everyone, please read the rest of the 10th canto that Prabhupada didn't do directly, and the 11th canto and 12th cantos, because first of all, they're very, very important. And Srila Prabhupada, for sure, would want us to read them and get the full benefit. And this is Prabhupada's work. You know, this is Prabhupada's Bhagavatam, and all of them acknowledge it throughout the purports. And just add this touch of speciality to Prabhupada's glory. You know, that's what I think. That's how I feel when I'm reading it. Okay, so I'm here with that fearless Abhaya Das Brahmachari, Pranata Karuna, one who gives mercy to the fallen souls, servant of, and I'm not sure if anyone's going to be out there for the live reading. I think the reading was pretty good. The connection was pretty good today.
It was flawless.
Flawless. So we made the right decision for a change. And we changed it to this, see the difference between that and this? Okay, so now, from now on, I'll make sure that I don't use this internet connection, this hotspot, during the day. I'll just leave it alone, I won't use it at all. So that will have the full, and that means we should be able to do this every day, should be. Okay, anybody out there? Oh, they're out there in cyberspace. Anybody there? If you are, please feel free to ask and glorify and give your reflections. Pranatu Karuna Prabhu and Abhaya Prabhu, I also ask you to contribute to the glory of this reading. Here it is, our open mic. Any takers?
I don't know what to say.
Huh? If you don't have anything to say, don't make something up. It's fine. If you don't. But if you do, very good. It's all the better. I'll let you digest for a second. Krishna's pastimes. Krishna's pastimes are the goal of life because they simultaneously make us attached to Krishna and give us ecstasy and the goal. Because the goal is to become attached to Krishna. And what can be more efficient at making us attached to Krishna than hearing about him? How, so incredible. Everything that he does, every moment of his pastimes, he's doing something that no one else could do. And in such a wonderful way that it just boggles the mind. And the world is in the middle of bickering about this bozo and that bozo leader that have no idea what they're doing or how to solve anything. Nowadays especially. The whole place is either burning down or flooding or freezing or boiling. We heard about Mathura and how beautiful it was and how fragrant and opulent. Abhaya is now finally starting to manifest the qualities of his name. He's fearlessly held up his hands. Okay. You got to turn the camera around so that people can see you. Meet Abhaya Das, formerly Bhakta Austin.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I was just appreciating the when Krishna offered Sudama the opportunity to take benedictions, and the benedictions. You read it twice, but I just really like Sudama chose unshakable.
Charm. Go ahead.
Sudama chose unshakable devotion for Krishna, the supreme soul of all existence, friendship with his devotees, and transcendental compassion for all living beings. This is really nice.
That sounds like a way to follow. Yeah, especially the last one, transcendental compassion for all living beings. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Abhay. Pranita, something? I'm sure you got something. It's one of your favorite parts of the book.
Yeah.
Or just say how much you appreciate.
Yeah, I really like this whole section that we heard today. I don't know, maybe because I just, it just, in my opinion, just Krishna's so cool, the way that he, like you said, he's doing these things in such a wonderful way. And it's kind of
flaunting the authority of the demon.
Flaunting, that he's kind of like the supreme rebel in a way, as far as Kongsa's authority goes, and he's, it's kind of action packed.
Yeah.
And a lot of different kinds of interactions with different kinds of people, and details that are given that allow us to enter into some depth into Krishna's character and how he deals with different devotees.
I was thinking the same thing. I thought exactly the same thought you did, only I was thinking also that a vision of the spiritual world, I mean, what it's like in the spiritual world. What literature or scripture has this kind of detailed descriptions of the spiritual world?
Yeah, and also that comment that was in the purport, how Krishna is hard as a thunderbolt to those who defy him, and he's soft as a rose to those who surrender to him and serve him with love. That's I appreciate that about him.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate your comments so much. And if there's no more comments from out there in cyberspace, which I don't blame you, because it was a little confusing whether or not we were going to actually have a live stream reading. But since it went so well tonight, I think you can pretty much count on us having live streams from now on. And we welcome you to come and join and give your reflections and going deep into the pastimes by your presence. We so much appreciate, and we apologize again one last time. I won't apologize again for it, but because it was a little confusing whether or not we were going to actually have a live reading, or whether we were going to do another recording right onto the phone and then upload it to the Facebook. But we found out we couldn't do it. It's not fast enough internet here to do that. It takes too long. So from now on, we're going to take the risk and have the readings. And we may even do the one reading that was a little spotty yesterday. We may even do it again. We've changed from doing our, geo hotspot, which is not on a phone, to the Vivo phone that I have that has a geo SIM card in it, and it's also good internet. So it could be that the unlimited has been used up for this, and now it's got a slower speed. But the beauty of the phone is that it every day it resets itself at the number of gigabytes that you're allowed high speed. So what I'll do is I just told Abaya, what I'll do is I'll refrain from using the hotspot on the Vivo phone completely tomorrow, so that we have a full quota of high speed internet. And if we do that every day, we should do it. We should make it. All right. Yes. Oh, Jai Shri, Hari Bol. I'm glad you were able to join in. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, Krishna grants spiritual blessings and also material opulence to his devotees, but sometimes he will take away the devotees' material opulence. How should we see this seemingly contradicting act of Krishna?
Well, first of all contradictions are reconciled in Krishna, because although externally he may be seemingly taking things away from some and giving a lot to others, his intention is to bring them back to him. And if a person is, to the degree that the person is able to keep the mind and the heart fixed on Krishna, no matter what, then he will give the opulence when the opulence is needed in order to properly glorify him and spread Krishna consciousness, and to allow that person to go back to him. And if the person is not capable of becoming undistracted in the face of opulence and material facilities, then he'll take away those material facilities so that the person's mind will be more prone or more inclined to go to him. And if the person is very much attached or very much conditioned, then he'll do that for quite some time until the person has actually got the message. So all the things that Krishna does give us the message, the right message, according to our own capabilities and our own previous activities, pious and impious. So the idea is that Krishna is helping us use up our pious and our impious activities so that we can ultimately become attached to him. So that's the ultimate solution or reconciliation of that apparent contradiction. It's not actually a contradiction. Krishna loves everyone the same. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshastina priyaha. He is equal to all living beings. He doesn't particularly favor another or is averse to another. But ye bhajanti tamam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. When the devotee approaches him with love and affection in devotional service, then he becomes very attached to that person, and the person becomes very attached to him. And for that reason, for that motive, he's dealing with devotees differently according to what they need. Just like the hunchback, he gave her everything. Another person, he took away everything. One was a devotee, one was not a devotee. So he deals differently with devotees and non-devotees, but not with intention for malice or out of hate or material attachment. He loves all living beings the same, and he reciprocates them according to their the way they approach him. That's his nature. And we can understand that by analyzing our own nature, because we're a part of Krishna. So if we can, by hearing these books and analyzing our own position clearly, according to the knowledge contained in these books, we'll see that we're little tiny parts of Krishna, and therefore we have little tiny parts of Krishna's qualities and capabilities. So ultimately, Krishna knows that we can only be happy with him. So if we're trying to be happy without him, because he knows that we can only be happy with him, then he'll take those things away so that we can become happy with him eventually only. And if we are able to be more and more happy and attached to him in material opulence, in devotional service, then he'll give more and more of that for spreading Krishna consciousness, for spreading his glories, and for even making the devotees comfortable. He doesn't want to torture anybody. Each one of us is getting exactly what we deserve. Not one paisa. We're in India now, we use paisa. Not one paisa more, and not one paisa less. Okay, that's the extent of what's going on in my mind about that question. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the question, it was wonderful. I'm glad you showed up for the reading. Of course, you're 2.5 hours, only 2.5 hours ahead, so that's good. Keep safe in Hong Kong. Hare Krishna. Take shelter of Krishna. Sometimes when we get things taken away or we're in difficulty, if we're responding properly, it makes us more attached to Krishna. That's the ultimate reconciliation. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Krishna. All glories to Krishna's pastimes in Mathura. All glories to all the devotees of Sri Krishna. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. We'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Indian Standard Time, same place, same station. Wait, something else? Salik Walker from Denver. Yeah. Okay, Salik, you caught me just in time, just before we're going to stop. Holy Bol.
Yeah, so sometimes people are very unhappy but yet have an abundance of material objects, money and so on. Why doesn't he remove the wealth of some?
He's fulfilling everyone's desires. But if they don't want him, he won't force himself on anyone. So therefore there's that famous verse, I don't remember the Sanskrit out of hand, that he takes away the opulence of those who who want him, but who are too attached to their material things to do anything about it. And the persons who don't want him and want just material things, they usually worship Shiva or some demigod or some big person. Like now we have the trumpets, trumpers, whatever they call them, who are making a lot of money at getting close to Trump, but now they're getting their just reward, and they're going to be more and more getting their just rewards. So the answer is that Krishna doesn't force himself on anyone. If a person's intent is insistent on having material things without him, he'll let them do that. He won't interfere with their independence. Each of us has an independence. But as soon as they become a little inclined, as soon as they use up whatever, piety that they have that are getting, material things, then they get a little bit tired of it, and it always happens, then Krishna is there to take it away and to make them attached to him. That's it for now, Selak. We'll talk about it later. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow, 4 o'clock, same station, same time. Hari Bol.